Die Hard didn't invent the action movie. It reinvented who the action hero was allowed to be. John McClane is not a superhero, not a special operative, not a one-man army who has never met a situation he couldn't handle in 30 seconds. He is a regular cop who found himself in the worst possible place at the worst possible time, who bleeds, panics, improvises badly, and then, because he has no other option, improvises better. That's the thing. The 100 films that tried to copy Die Hard almost never got right. They copied the geography, the building, the plane, the ship, the train. They missed the point entirely. The formula has 5 moving parts that all need to work. An everyman hero operating at the outer edge of his actual competence. A villain who is genuinely smarter than everyone in the room and knows it. Dialogue that is mean and dark and funny. A siege architecture where the hero is inside the situation and the institutions that are supposed to help are outside making it worse. And personal stakes, not just professional ones. McClane isn't saving strangers, he is saving his wife. Those two things being inseparable is everything. Speed, Under Siege, Air Force One, The Fugitive, those are off the table. You know those. Everything on this list lives in the shadow of that conversation, which means most people have never found them. Let's fix that. This is Picture Recall. Let's get into it. Number 10, Narrow Margin, 1990. At number 10, the original Die Hard on a Train. 5 years before Under Siege 2 made that premise famous, directed by a man who belongs on this list twice and gets almost zero credit for it. Before Under Siege 2 existed, before the confined space action thriller had become its own recognizable subgenre, Peter Hyams made Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman and $20 million featuring an actual moving train in British Columbia. It then made $7 million domestically and disappeared so completely that most dedicated genre fans have genuinely never heard of it. This is an injustice I intend to correct. LA District Attorney Robert Caulfield accompanies Carol Hunnicutt, Ann Archer, a witness to a mob murder, on a train from Vancouver to Los Angeles. She refuses to fly. The assassin, played by J.T. Walsh, boards anyway. Caulfield must keep her alive in a confined moving space, while also trying to figure out which of the other passengers might be the mob's additional operative, because there almost certainly is one. This is the paranoia structure Die Hard perfected. The hero who cannot trust the environment because the enemy has already infiltrated it. What Hyams understood, and this is the thing that makes him the most criminally underrated director of Die Hard-adjacent cinema, and I will get back to that, is that confined space action works only when the space has been completely mapped before the action begins. The train in Narrow Margin is a real place before it becomes a battleground. You know every corridor, every compartment, every connection between cars, the roof, the windows, how much noise the movement makes, how unstable standing upright is. By the time Hyams needs to use any of it, you're already oriented. Gene Hackman never made a bad performance. Caulfield is Hackman at his most characteristic. A professional man of genuine competence under genuine pressure who is nonetheless visibly calculating the odds and finding them not especially favorable. No bravado, no heroic swagger. Just a guy doing the job because the job is in front of him. That is the McClane quality stripped to its core, and Hackman achieves it without appearing to try. Find this one. It deserved a much bigger life than it got. Number 9, Rapid Fire, 1992. Number 9 is Brandon Lee's most accomplished film, and because of what happened the following year, it has been almost entirely absorbed into the narrative of his biography rather than evaluated on its own terms. 30-plus years on, it is past time to assess it properly. Brandon Lee died during the production of The Crow in 1993. That fact has cast everything before it in a specific biographical light that makes it hard to simply watch his earlier work as film rather than as artifact. Rapid Fire deserves to be watched as film. It is excellent. Jake Lowe is a Chinese-American college art student who witnesses a mob murder and is pulled into a DEA undercover operation targeting both Triad and Chicago mob networks. The Die Hard architecture here is a specific double exposure. The hero is in danger from the criminals and in danger from the institutional incompetence of the people who are nominally on his side. These two threats require entirely different responses, and there's no clean way to manage both simultaneously. Lee had two qualities extraordinarily rare in action cinema, and I mean this as a genuine assessment, not as posthumous generosity. He had real martial arts ability, the kind that makes action sequences look different, because the person performing them actually knows what they're doing. And he had an actor's natural instinct for emotional specificity, the capacity to make a dramatic scene feel real and a physical scene feel effortless, and to move between those two modes without a visible seam. The fight choreography in Rapid Fire is among the most fluid, inventively constructed action work of the early 90s, not because of editing, because of him. Powers Booth also appears here as the federal agent running the operation, which makes this his second entry on this list as a villain or villain-adjacent character. And if that observation doesn't make you curious about where else he shows up, wait for it. Brandon Lee was 28 years old. The trajectory that Rapid Fire suggests is one of cinema's genuinely painful what-ifs. Number 8. The Hard Way, 1991. All right, we are shifting registers here, because part of what makes the Die Hard tradition interesting is the range it covers. Number 8 is the funniest film on this list, built around one of the decade's most improbable casting decisions. And it absolutely works. Michael J. Fox is a preening Hollywood action star who needs to research a gritty cop role. James Woods is the actual gritty Manhattan homicide detective he gets assigned to shadow. Fox's character is charming, relentless, completely impervious to social signals, and constitutionally incapable of registering when he is not welcome. Woods's character despises him from the first second, with a specificity and consistency that never wavers for 2 hours. The chemistry between them is an act of controlled combustion. The film also has a real villain. Stephen Lang plays the party crasher, a serial killer who murders couples at public events, and who has been 3 steps ahead of Woods's detective for months. The comedy with Fox never lets the audience forget that the underlying situation is genuinely dangerous, and Lang maintains that register throughout. His scenes have actual menace in a film where the dominant note is comic friction. What most people don't know is that John Badham, who also directed War Games, which appeared on our last video in this series, shot New York with the same environmental intelligence he brings to all his action work. The city is a real physical presence here, not backdrop. Action sequences are grounded in specific locations the film has taken the time to establish before using them. That discipline is what separates competent action direction from the kind that builds actual tension. The Fox-Woods pairing sounds, on paper, like a studio mandate. It plays like it was invented by someone who understood exactly what each of them could do and set them loose in the same scene. Fox's relentless optimism dismantling Woods's contempt, one scene at a time, is a pleasure that holds up completely. Number 7. Toy Soldiers, 1991. At number 7, the most surprising film on this list. Everything about it suggests you should manage your expectations. I'm asking you to do the opposite. Teen cast, implausible premise, B-movie budget, early 90s prep school setting. On paper, Toy Soldiers has no business being as good as it is. But the screenplay was written by David Koepp, who would go on to write Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, and Spider-Man. And Koepp constructed it with genuine architectural intelligence that the production fully honors. Students at an elite New England boarding school find their campus seized by Colombian cartel operatives who want leverage over a federal judge. The federal response cannot penetrate the campus without triggering a massacre. Sean Astin's Billy Tepper, the school's most resourceful, most frequently disciplined repeat offender, must improvise from inside. The Die Hard architecture is complete. Trapped hero, corrupted outside response, enemy who has already accounted for the obvious contingencies, personal stakes building as people around him get hurt. The film earns its third act. I won't describe what happens, but Toy Soldiers follows its premise to a conclusion that most films in this template avoid, a conclusion that is earned by everything that came before it, and that elevates the film from competent genre exercise into something with real weight. The willingness to go there is the single quality that separates it from its category peers. What most people don't know is the casting of Andrew Divoff as the lead villain, Luis Cali. Divoff is one of action cinema's great underutilized villains, a man with the physical authority and cold intelligence the Hans Gruber tradition requires. and this is his finest performance in the role type. He treats every scene with the seriousness the material deserves, which is why the film's stakes feel real in a way that cheaper productions would never achieve. Disagree with this ranking in the comments? I'll be waiting. Top 5. Everything from here is, in my opinion, essential. Number 5 proves that immediately. Number 6, Blown Away, 1994. At number 6, the film that should have been the defining bomb squad thriller of the 1990s and instead made its budget back, received reasonable reviews, and disappeared so completely it might as well not exist. Jeff Bridges plays Jimmy Dove, a Boston bomb disposal technician who begins encountering devices of such precision they can only have been built by one person. Tommy Lee Jones plays Ryan Garrity, former IRA explosives expert, recently escaped from a Northern Irish prison, arrived in Boston specifically for Dove. The bombs Garrity plants are simultaneously weapons, puzzles, and personal messages. He considers each one a work of art. The film understands that this specific quality, professional pride taken in something that kills people, is the most disturbing register a villain can operate in. Jones arrived here directly after winning Best Supporting Actor for The Fugitive, and he plays Garrity with an accent of spectacular audacity and a specific, almost performative joy in destruction that makes him the most purely entertaining villain on this list. He is never threatening because he is angry. He is threatening because he is the best in the world at what he does, he knows it, and he finds the whole enterprise genuinely delightful. The Hans Gruber quality in its most extravagant form. The third act restructures the relationship between Dove and Garrity in a way that raises the personal stakes from one cop versus one terrorist to something considerably more specific and more painful. Without spoiling it, there's a reason Garrity chose Dove. That reason, when it's revealed, changes everything that came before it in retrospect. This is always what separates Die Hard from its imitators. The personal dimension that makes the outcome matter beyond spectacle. What most people don't know is that Jeff Bridges' father, Lloyd Bridges, plays Dove's mentor in the film. Two Bridges, one film, both giving real performances rather than collecting paychecks. The family dynamic between them on screen has a specific warmth that the film earns and then uses against you. If you know it's coming, it hits harder. If you don't, it hits hardest. Number 5. Sudden Death, 1995. Number 5 is Die Hard at a hockey game. That's the premise. That's also the entire case for this film's existence, stated plainly, and the film agrees. It takes itself absolutely seriously and executes its insane premise with complete straight-faced conviction. This is the correct approach. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a Pittsburgh fire marshal. A rogue former intelligence operative, played by Powers Booth, there he is again, is holding the vice president hostage in a luxury box at the Civic Arena during Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The bombs detonate when periods end. The vice president dies if the game completes. Van Damme's Darren McCord must stop this while navigating the arena's access tunnels, kitchens, and ice surface, periodically disguised as a goalie. This is where I want to return to something I said at number 10 about Peter Hyams, because Hyams also directed this film. The same director on this list twice. Narrow Margin in 1990, Sudden Death in 1995, and in both cases demonstrating the same specific spatial intelligence, the ability to map an environment completely before using it as an action stage. The Civic Arena's architecture becomes as familiar as your own living room before Hyams starts detonating things in it. Every penalty box, every kitchen corridor, every access tunnel has been established in your mental map. When the action arrives, you always know exactly where you are. Powers. Booth's Joshua Foss is a former government operative who knows exactly how the vice president's security detail will respond to every variable and has accounted for all of them in advance. He plays Foss with the specific quality of a professional who has simply redirected his institutional expertise toward different ends. Methodical, unhurried, dryly contemptuous of everyone scrambling to catch up. This is his second appearance on this list as the villain, and he is better here than he was there. The kitchen fight. Van Damme versus a terrorist in an Iceberg the Penguin costume, using industrial cooking equipment as weapons, while a hockey game proceeds on the ice above them. It sounds like a bit. It is not a bit. It is maximally specific, spatially intelligent action design in the direct Die Hard tradition. And it is one of the most inventive action sequences the decade produced. I will die on that hill. Number 4. Passenger, 57, 1992. At number 4, the film that got to Die Hard on a plane 4 years before Air Force One, leaner, faster, and with a physical credibility the bigger film never quite achieves. Airline security expert John Cutter is on a commercial flight transporting Charles Rain, the world's most wanted terrorist, to trial. Ron's associates hijack the aircraft. Cutter, Wesley Snipes, at the absolute peak of his physical presence, must work from inside while being periodically mistaken for one of the hijackers by law enforcement outside. That double bind. Trying to stop the people you can't identify as enemies to the people who can't identify you as an ally is the Die Hard complication in its most elegant form. Bruce Payne plays Ronnie as a man of absolute operational calm. No ideology, no anger, no recognizable human grievance to appeal to. Violence is purely instrumental, a professional tool applied with the same neutral efficiency as any other. He is terrifying in exactly this register, and the film knows it. His scenes are directed to let his stillness do the work. This is the Gruber quality stripped to its essential nature. A man who is more dangerous because he doesn't particularly care. Snipes at this point in his career was one of the most physically compelling presences in American cinema. His Cutter is quick, intelligent, possessed of a specific controlled fury that stays one register below maximum throughout the film, which makes the moments when it releases all the more effective. Action choreography with Snipes in this era has a specific quality. He moves like someone who spent serious time learning to move, and it shows in the way scenes are staged around him. The tagline is, "Always bet on black." The studio approved this. Snipes approved this. It remains one of the great action movie taglines, and I respect everyone involved for committing to it. Number 3. Cliffhanger, 1993. At number 3, a film that says Die Hard on a Mountain on the poster, and then proceeds to deliver the finest Hans Gruber successor the genre ever produced. Those two things are not in the same category of achievement, but Cliffhanger manages both. After a mid-air treasury heist goes wrong and scatters 3 cases of currency across the Colorado Rockies, John Lithgow's Eric Quaylen forces mountain rescue ranger Gabe Walker, Sylvester Stallone, to guide his crew through the range's most dangerous terrain. The mountain is real. The locations, the Dolomites standing in for Colorado, are used with physical credibility that distinguishes the action from the era's increasingly studio-bound spectacle. The drops are actual drops. The cold is actual cold. Rennie Harlan, who is a significantly better action director than his reputation suggests, shoots the vertical geography with a consistent spatial clarity that makes every sequence legible. And then there is Lithgow. John Lithgow is a stage-trained actor of enormous technical range who arrived in Cliffhanger and decided, apparently, that the correct approach was to play Quaylen as a man who finds violence personally inconvenient rather than pleasurable. Most frightening when most polite, most dangerous when most reasonable. His contempt for the mountain, his own team, and the local rescue ranger he's been forced to rely on is expressed as the quality of a man who has genuinely never encountered anything he couldn't manage. He doesn't shout. He doesn't threaten. He simply makes clear in every interaction that the current situation is beneath him and that he will resolve it when he gets around to it. This is the Gruber tradition precisely rendered. Gruber was menacing not because he was violent, but because he was smarter than everyone in the room and knew it. Lithgow does the same work through an entirely different set of actorly choices, and the result is a villain whose scenes you look forward to in a genre film built around set pieces. That is not common. That is not easy. Lithgow makes it look like neither. What most people don't know is that the opening sequence, in which Stallone fails to save a woman during a mountain rescue, dropping her to her death from several thousand feet, was inspired by a real incident that climber John Long had described to screenwriter Michael France. The decision to begin a blockbuster action film, with the hero failing completely, with someone dying because of that failure, and to make that failure the film's emotional engine rather than a forgotten prologue, is a sophisticated structural choice that most films in this category never attempt. Remarkable from start to finish, and Lithgow is the reason. Number 2, The Negotiator, 1998. At number 2, the most structurally clever film on this list, the one that takes the die-hard architecture and inverts it so completely and elegantly that it works simultaneously as genre exercise and genre deconstruction, and it is so absent from current conversation that its title draws blank stares from viewers who almost certainly enjoyed it in 1998. F. Gary Gray directed this. The same director who made Friday, The Italian Job, Straight Outta Compton, and Fate of the Furious. Somewhere in the middle of that filmography sits a tight, intelligent, $50 million hostage thriller that earned $88 million worldwide and then vanished. I find this genuinely inexplicable. Chicago hostage negotiator Danny Roman is framed for murder. He knows the corrupt officers responsible have enough institutional power to ensure he never gets a fair hearing through conventional means. So he does the only thing that gives him leverage. He takes the Internal Affairs Office hostage and demands that the one negotiator he trusts, Chris Sabian, played by Kevin Spacey, be brought in. The hero is the hostage taker. The negotiator is his ally. Every other institutional actor is either corrupt or complicit. The entire power structure of the genre is flipped. Samuel L. Jackson delivers one of the finest performances of his career as Roman. This is not a take I make lightly. Jackson has given many great performances, and it is easy to take his work for granted because he makes it look effortless. In The Negotiator, he plays a man who reads rooms for a living, who has spent his career understanding what people want and fear, and how to use both, who is now in a situation where his own professional expertise is his only available weapon. Roman never stops negotiating, even with a gun in his hand, even when he's running out of options. The discipline that requires the performance of control while everything collapses is what Jackson does better than almost anyone working. The film's central thesis argument is worth stating explicitly, because this is where it connects to everything else on this list. The die-hard structure is fundamentally about a man who knows something is wrong and cannot get the institutions around him to believe it. McClane knows Gruber's crew isn't a SWAT team. Roman knows he was framed. The hero's problem is never purely physical. It is always also a problem of credibility, of being the person with accurate information in a situation structured to ignore that information. This film understood that better than almost anything in the genre. Number 1. The Last Boy Scout, 1991. And that brings us to number 1. Shane Black wrote Die Hard. He also wrote Lethal Weapon before that, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys after. The Last Boy Scout sits in the middle of that body of work, released in 1991, directed by Tony Scott, dismissed commercially largely because it arrived in the wake of Hudson Hawk's catastrophic reception, and audiences had temporarily lost faith in Bruce Willis's action credibility. And it is, without qualification, the finest piece of Die Hard adjacent cinema ever made. That was not Die Hard. Joe Hallenbeck is a private detective. Broke, drinking, operating at the far end of a career that once began with the Secret Service. He is paired with disgraced former NFL quarterback Jimmy Dix, Damon Wayans, who is genuinely funny here in ways the film uses rather than simply accommodating. And together, they uncover a conspiracy involving illegal sports gambling, congressional bribery, and a chain of murders that keeps reaching toward them specifically. The plot is dense. The reversals come frequently. That is not what makes the film immortal. What makes The Last Boy Scout immortal is Shane Black's screenplay, one of the finest action scripts ever written, a document of such compressed craft and compulsive quotability that even after 30-plus years it reads like something that should not have been commercially greenlit. Every scene has a line that lands. Every exchange has a rhythm that feels like two specific people talking rather than plot mechanics being advanced. The dark humor is so specifically calibrated that it functions as character revelation. Hallenbeck's specific register of self-aware, cheerful nihilism tells you everything about what the job and the life have done to him, without a single scene of explicit exposition. There is a moment, I want to be specific about this, where Hallenbeck is tied to a chair in the third act, alone with the villain, And what happens in the next 3 minutes is pure Shane Black. The dialogue is not improvised and does not sound written. It sounds like two real people in a terrible situation, one of whom has decided that if this is how things end, he is going to make it count. Willis understood exactly what the scene required and delivers it with the kind of specificity that makes a scene unforgettable rather than merely effective. Taylor Negron's Milo is the villain. I want to dwell on this because the villain question is the central argument of this entire video. The Die Hard formula succeeds or fails on the quality of its antagonist, and Milo is the most underappreciated villain in the genre's history. He is not Gruber. He doesn't have Rickman's theatrical grandeur or Gruber's specific intellectual vanity. He is something more contemporary and more frightening. Affable, professional, genuinely funny, capable of sudden and complete violence that carries no emotional residue whatsoever. He likes Hallenbeck. He's going to kill him anyway. This combination, genuine warmth coexisting with genuine menace, with no apparent contradiction, is what makes Milo the purest expression of what the genre needs its antagonists to be. This is what connects everything on this list. Gruber, Quallen, Garrity, Rane, Foss, Roman, Milo. The best of them are not angry, not ideological, not driven by identifiable grievance. They are professionals, and that professionalism is what makes them terrifying. There is nothing to appeal to, redirect, or negotiate with. You cannot reason with expertise applied toward wrong ends. The Last Boy Scout understood this first. It understood it best. That is why it is number one on Picture Recall. And that is why it has been number one in my head for 30+ years. Find it tonight. From number 10 to number 1, what this list demonstrates is that Die Hard is the most imitated action film in cinema history because it solved a specific problem. It made the audience feel the hero's situation from the inside. McClane is never performing heroism for the camera. He is frightened, improvising, running out of options, doing the next available thing because nothing else is available. The films that come closest to capturing that quality are the ones that remembered the villain, that understood Hans Gruber is as important to Die Hard as John McClane, because Gruber is what makes McClane's competence meaningful. He is winning for most of the film. The hero prevails in spite of genuine opposition, not because the script requires him to. Almost everything Hollywood produced in Die Hard's wake got the geography right, and the villain wrong. The 10 films above are the exceptions. I know you have opinions. What got left off? Where is executive decision? Where is Broken Arrow? Should sudden death be higher? Is The Last Boy Scout actually number 1? Or am I letting the screenplay cloud the evaluation? Tell me. I genuinely read everything. And this is a genre where someone always makes the case for a film I haven't considered. If you made it this far, you are exactly the kind of viewer Picture Recall exists for. The next video is already in the works. And if this list told you anything about what makes a great action film actually great, the next one is going to take that argument somewhere considerably more specific. See you there.